Good morning. My name is Ellen Diederich. I'm from Fargo, and I'm a painter in watercolor and acrylic. Today I'm going to paint a cowboy, which I'm looking forward to. I have a beautiful sketch here in black and white of a cowboy that seems way more exciting than this color picture of him. However, I'm going to choose a palette and connect it. Today, my goal in the workshop is to show you how to save your whites and to paint around shapes and to connect the subject to the background. So I'm going to show you this because I want you to see how I think when I'm painting, because I do a lot of brush strokes with moving my arm and setting things around on things, like I'm painting a rounded shape, and I'm doing that to get the volume. And the volume, when the light hits it, some parts of a horse, let's say his rear end here, is circular, and so the light would hit it, and you could see how you need to get this rounded feeling in the horse. You need to get the light on this side or in his chest, um, in his legs. I'm going to turn this way. They're like a cylinder, so the light's coming from this side, and the shadow is on the side of the legs. So I'll be important that I leave the white on the side of this horse because he's a white horse. Same with his head. His head is kind of like a triangle here, but the light is hitting it from the side and it turns away and gets in shadow. So you can get that rounded feeling in that. Same with the man with the leg, the arm. So when I'm painting things, I'm in there adjusting the values, but I'm going around some of this. So I'm going to show you some. I'm not using any masking, and most people would like to use masking in this, and it's perfectly okay. I think it gives a really harsh edge. So I'm going to just paint in some whites, and I'm going to show you my colors. In this palette, I have the QOR paints, in my Robert E. Wood palette, and I'm going to use this color. And I get this color ready. It's called Indian Yellow. So this is your Indian Yellow, pretty strong. Then I have this burnt orange. And I'm trying this palette. I'm not really sure if this is a palette I want for this painting, but I'm going to limit it and try to work with it and see what happens. Because we never know what happens in a painting. So you can see this is getting very warm because for my red, I'm using the quinacridone red. And I can put that on there like this. Now you can see how this paint is blobbing up here at the bottom. I can just pick that up with a thirsty brush and it'll be smooth. Then I have my manganese blue, which I never used before till I tried the QR paints and find it's very magnificent color. Kind of looks like cerulean. And I'm going to, just in case I need it, I'm going to have blue violet, a little cooler. Looks like I need to warm up my brush a little bit here. It's good to do a little exercise like this, just kind of gets you in touch with the paper and how it's drying and that kind of thing. Also, I just want to show you this, and I might be tempted to use this. So I'm going to put it in here. And I'm going to mix a couple colors with these just for my own sake. So here is the Hooker's Green, which is quite different from the Winsor Newton Green. But let's say if I want to make a neutral, I'm going to try it with the green. I'm mixing these colors together. Let's see if I like that. And then I'm going to try it with the blue. You see if you can get all the colors even. Now you could stir this all up in your palette and it'll be really dull. The reason is that the colors mix more beautifully if you let them mix themselves. And a lot of people mix this color, try to get exactly what they want, and then when they put it here, it gets dull. And that's because for some reason these pigments respond better to being free. They're like little highly willed children who want to do what they want. And you could see if you get a slight variation in a neutral, it's very attractive to look at. And so when I'm painting things, um, you can see that. Now, actually, you can see I have browns and the violets are pretty nice. Let's see if I mix these together, what kind of color I get. It's more of a gray. When you mix all colors, you get the grays. But grays are very powerful and beautiful. Okay. I kind of like using the green to get the brown tones in the picture and the blues. So I'm going to use all 6 of these colors. How was that for a choice for you? Anyhow, I'm going to limit this to 6 colors. I'm going to clean out this mixing area so it just shows. So these are separate when I start. And yeah, that looks like a waste of paint. But we have to waste some paint to have the colors we want. If we want something bright, we got to go for having a pure color. So I'm going to just put these out here in a little pile. And that way I have this pigment mixed thoroughly so I don't get globs in my brush. Sometimes I get a glob when I'm not paying attention. But it's sure a great way to start having no globs. And then I got this running all over. Now I got the green in my brush. So I have to rinse my brush better. I have a big bucket of water. I really like a big bucket of water. A lot of people double mix, or I just go dump it out every so often. They have a clean water and whatever. I think that if you get a little muck in there, it's all right. It's just, I'm not a total purist, in other words. Okay, so I have this sketch, and I'm going to look at this. I did a color sketch, which is kind of rough. I actually never got to the back layer of this, so I will probably put it right on here. But you could see how I'm leaving some whites. Anyhow, when the paper is dry, you have the most control of your paint. We really don't ever control watercolor. It is a wild thing, and trying to control it makes it worse. All we can do is kind of try to manage a puddle with colors floating in it, and we hope those puddles go somewhere. And when we fight with them, that they react and they make ugly marks and they get overworked looking, and it's very easy to do, and it's one of the best things you can do sometimes. Just pick up your puddles and quit and let it totally dry, because that will make a mess. But I'm going to start at looking at this value sketch, and I want you to notice that the top of his hat and this tree line, do you see how they connect like a passage of light down? But this to me is beautiful how this connects here. So I'm going to really try to get this, leave some white paper in this hat and go down. And I'm going to put some layers in here and leave some whites. And I'm going to go down so far on the horse, and then I'm going to work on some background stuff. I'll have to dry my painting in between so that the paint doesn't run back into this. So I really have a lot of paint on my palette right now for this. So I'm going to look at my picture, and I'm going to go to a smaller brush, which I just had. I like these flats. These are Winsor Newton Scepter flats. They have spring, and they have some Sablein or Sablein that helps hold the water pigment in it, but then it has the spring. I don't like the pure sable brushes. They get like a mop and do nothing. So I'm just going to start up here, and I'm going to mix the colors on the paper. So when you see me do this here, that is very confusing to people. They see you mix stuff up here, but I'm really up here setting colors next to each other, and they blend because they're still wet, so they'll join up. So if I want that color to join up, I need to do that. So I'm going to just start here with the edge of his hat, and I'm going to add, I see a little red here. Looks like I'm a little nervous. Not that anybody ever gets nervous painting, huh? But I'm going to see, it's going to stay exactly where I put it because the paper is dry. And then I'm going to put this blue in here for the hat. And I'm going to let it run right into that. But I'm going to leave this white here. And I'm going to go right into it. And then I'm going to get some orange. I see it looks oranger. So I just look at what I see, and I use that color that it's getting closer to. It seems like a lot. I kept thinking about this painting at night. I thought, it's the man in the yellow hat. And then I started thinking, how yellow should I make this hat? And then I was thinking, this is dumb. Don't think that way. No, but it was a thought. Anyhow, amazing what you think about when you're painting. So I'm leaving this pure white area here. And I'm not going to get into his jacket at all. That's pretty light. But I'm going to think about the rounding of this guy's face. Because I have this board at an angle, it runs down. So I'm just going to put this edge in here and paint in some color here. I may have to slow down a little bit. A little darker there. But the light's coming from this side. So I'm just going to, then I'm going to put a little blue right here. This is like, almost like the cylinder with the blue edge, where this is out of the light the most right here. So I'm just going to put, that's pretty wimpy. This dries lighter than what you paint, so I need to put a little more color in there. And I'm just going to go down there, and I'm not going to try to get all these details in right now. I'm going to try to leave this little, I don't know what it is because it's so small. I took this photograph when I was out riding horses, and I was on a horse and everything, he was really far away. So here I'm going to paint this blue passage of his shirt, and I'm going to leave a little white there. So you see, it just stays, it doesn't go in that white area. But it's very, if you want these color changes to be so beautiful, you just touch them in there. Yeah. Now there's some buttons or something here. So I just painted around that. And I'm going to go down. And I'm going to tell you I lied earlier. I'm going to go into this a little bit to get this shadow on the jacket. But I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because I'm going to show you something later. So I'm just making this an interesting shape because this will make a mark on my paper that I will have to work with. And do I want that mark is the big question. So here, right now, in this area of his skin, it's all pink in there or orange. And I'm going to just put that together. And here it gets quite a bit lighter. And I could see his saddle is down in here, and I'm going to just put some of these highlights in here. I don't really know what they are. Sometimes that's a good thing. It's a funny deal. You kind of need to know your subject, and you also need to not know everything, which is not a problem for me. But so I try to learn a few things here and there. But okay, so now I'm going to get out of this completely because I want to leave space for my horse here. Now, this is a neat, if you look in my value sketch right here, this is coming across and then the contrast on the dark of his mane, and then it gets dark again, or it goes dark right through it. Those are some neat things. But when you see I'm painting this over the horse's body, I'll be painting his body. Um, it's it's darker, so you paint light to dark, and so it's easy to put a dark on it later. So I don't need to use any mascoid or anything. Now see how I'm spattering on my paper? I can do something like this. These are great paper towels because they come in a split sheet. And you can just put this over here and keep myself from messing up everything I'm doing, okay? All right, so when I look at the edge of this horse, there's white here. And that's really important to leave that. I need to add some more yellow to his hand. There. See, that's setting up, and you could do that a lot later, and that would make a big mess. You don't have a lot of time to add color like that. So now I'm going to work on his body, and I've been debating. I'm going to do this leg going up and see how that goes, because sometimes that works better. And then if I like that, I'll do the rest that way. Otherwise, I'm going to come down with the gravity. So I'm going to try this leg. And you can see there's some white on the edge of the horse, and it's in shadow, but there's a pure white edge on this. So again, this is dry. And I'm going to keep it fairly light because it's a light value, but I'm going to add color. But you can see in this black and white sketch, you can get pretty good dark on here and it looks nice. So I'm just going to start, like I said, at the bottom of his hoof. And I'm going to put this, I maybe use a smaller brush for this part. I was going to do his chest and then I changed my mind. So, so here I'm going to take this dark blue. And the reason I'm doing this way is sometimes it mixes down, it keeps mixing down. But when I'm painting on here, I want to think about the muscle tone that I'm going around on the horse. So when I'm painting, I'm trying to get a little variety in color, but get these muscles. And that comes over. And then I'm going to keep going up. You see, it will keep running down into that. It's the one-legged horse. He looks funny right now. Okay, I'm not sure about this edge here, but I am sure about this white up here. So I'm going to put some orange here and some blue. This is still all in shadow here, but and there's a dark part of the body in there, but so I can go and put maybe some undertones of the horse in here just to have more color. Now see how this is running down here? It's not making a kind of unattractive shape too. All you do is pick that up. And you just got to watch that puddle. Every so often, it'll build up. And if you just pick that up, it gets from back running. If you leave that puddle, it'll push back and make a big mark on your paper. Now, I left this white. You can see that's like a 3 or 4 value in the value range from 1 to 10. It's pretty strong. But when that dries, that'll look pretty and a beautiful white. But if you don't need to be chicken here. You can be bold and do stuff. Now see how I went in there later? That didn't like that. But I'll cover that up with some dark anyhow. But I had a glob in there. Well, I'm going to go the other way with the top of the head. So I'm looking at this head and I need to feel the arch of this horse's neck. When I'm painting these whites, it's really important that I get that rounded feeling like this coming across. So I'm going to leave the white, and I see pink, but then I see it get blue, and I'm going to come up right up to here. Oop, got a glob. I'm going to go to this manganese, and I'm going to run right into that stuff I have. It seems like it's drying, and it gets warmer on his neck. It doesn't matter if I get in on under this dark area, because that'll get covered up with the dark. So I can be pretty loose here, but I can think about the rounding of the horse here. Now I'm kind of pushing down on the brush, and you don't have a lot of time for this, and you kind of just let the paint, it won't do exactly whatever you think, and you don't really have time to know exactly whatever you think. You go fast here. But see, he's warm underneath. So I'm putting those warmer colors here. And I see he's getting pink again, which is neat because it comes back to a color there. And then I have to be careful with this white. This is a the tricky part right here, leaving your white. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to connect into this muscle. I'm painting it like a muscle. That gives it more of a reality to this. And then I see it, he's got this kneecap and it rounds. And I'm going to paint that right in there. And I'm going to put a little warm here. And I see it's going back to the pink again. And I might have some texture. I can add texture later. Let's see which one of these legs we like better. It's a leg contest. So, you ever been in a leg contest? It's a great way to become aware of shapes. We should all, as artists, be in a leg contest. Because you can see that some leg shapes are much more beautiful than others. And so we have to kind of pull out our snobville act stuff when we're looking at shapes like that. So we can decide what's attractive. Part of being an artist is making beautiful, attractive shapes. To make your paintings go for people, we need to see those beautiful things. So here again, I see this blue, and I'm going, and you see, I'm not slowing down. I don't have time to slow down here, but I'm going away from this other leg because this is drying. So I'm kind of spacing myself out. So here I'm going down here and down in this, and it gets cooler again, I see. Okay, so now we can go to this side of the horse, and I'm going to paint this like it's white because I like the way this horse looks. And I'm going to make, in my black and white sketch, I have it white here where his body is. So I probably should have continued that down there, but I didn't. So whatever you do, you got to work with what happens. So we're going away from this. I don't know. See, some people might be afraid to paint in pink, but when you see pink is part of the red cast in our colors. So it's just watered with red to lighten it up. And so if there's a color that you think is too feminine or something for a horse or something, you have to kind of look for those tones and just put them in. It's hard to see that. I don't know. I understand some people have different cones in their eyes and they see colors differently. But we, if you see a color in your white, I just kind of exaggerate it. So that's kind of, and I'm using all this water, and the water is just blending the colors. And it doesn't look white right now, but it is like this. When we paint these shadows, paint these shapes with volume, then later we go around with the background, then it looks white, but it has volume. So it's the same thing happening here. So I'm going to go on this side, and there's a little peak of white here, white paper. I want to make sure I leave that. I'm going to think lighter because this is coming out of here. Oh, and you always need to have your paper towels handy. I call it my security blanket. I'm going to put a little more yellow out. And I'm going to go hit some blues here. Looks like I've gotten chicken. Color is going blah. Okay, so here is a very important shape of white right here on the horse, but it gets very warm in the white here. So I have to go around this. And sure, he looks green. So if he's too green for you, you add the complement red, and it will kill that in an instant. I don't know if you want the Martian colored horse. Sometimes you do it. It looks neat for certain things. Um, Now down here, this dark, I have to feel this. I can feel this paper is cool, so it's still not dry. I don't think it's going to give me trouble, but I'm going to make this side of the leg, the back side is warmer. So I put the warm on the edge, and then I'm putting in the cool blue. That's really cool. And then I'm going and I'm looking at this hoof. When I sculpt it, turns round and comes up here. Okay, sometimes you miss something. So on the head, I'm going to do part of this head, and I'm going to leave the white. I'm not going to paint the hair in, but I'm just going to paint the white part. So I'm going to get a smaller brush so I have more control. And I've got some spots around here. You know, you could take these out like that if they're still wet. If you really don't like in the background, this is a bunch of dirt out here, so that's okay. Um, so I'm gonna put this shadow on here, and I see it comes up. But these are those rich, beautiful colors. You want to get them mixing on the paper. And I see a little pink on the edge. Come on, pink. And it comes down. And you're looking for this very descriptive shape. You don't have 2 times to do this one. This one will never be the same when you do it over. So you gotta get it. I shouldn't say deadly stuff like that when you're painting. I might even do that in some of these little lines for me for fun, just for placement. They're kind of interesting. Here I could put green right there. And it might run into that a little bit. Okay, so we have the 4 legs and we have the critical whites painted. We're going to start connecting the subject to the background different ways, and it won't run into any of this white paint on the horse. These trees kind of feather out different than most trees are kind of like a big rounded thing, but they're getting lighter. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to tip this picture upside down, and I'm going to paint around my subject. And this is, I'm going to use these same colors, but I'm going to get this trees in here. So I put in some white spots here too for trunks or something. But this is the horizon, so you can see the horizon is about a third, a little less than a third from the top. Those proportions are interesting to people when they're different. So I'm going to start with my burnt orange. I'm going to get out some of this Hooker's green, but I'm going to have more of my manganese here to keep it related. And then I have my Indian yellow. So let's say we would go in here and we can start by painting around this figure. So we can go right up to the line. It's so red. Come back here. And I can think about putting some of these colors in here and how this is in the distance. So it does seem dark what I'm doing right now. Hang in there. You have to think about perspective here because things appear lighter and softer, and we are going into the distance here, and this is the darkest dark so far. So that manganese is a good plan. I wonder why I drew this up so high. I'm going to stick with my sketch. Don't have to change everything right here. But I can get in right now and go around this guy. Now I said one of the critical things about this painting is how this light is on his hat to the tree. So I want to get that for sure in this side. So I'm kind of going around the hat here, changing the colors. I'm doing this fairly quickly. And putting some color in there. Then I'm going to get lighter as the shape gets here. And then I think a little bit about the overall shape of the tree. You see, I've got around this critical thing. I really want this pointing into the hat. that white. Then I'm going to take my spray bottle and I'm just going to spray and let that kind of run into that. I'm going to get those featherings. I might need to take some of that paint off here. And you can blot this off. Now this sky is really white. It probably would have been smart to paint the yellow in. I guess I remember saying I was going to do that, paint a yellow wash in here. I can still do it later. I think I'll get in right here a little bit. But because we put those different colors in there. Now, it didn't work very good over his hat. I got to be kind of careful here. So to do that, I could just block his hat from the spray. And get a neat edge. Maybe we'll put a couple of these yellow branches in here. Now, I only did 1/2 of that. You got to keep going. So we're going to try to keep going here. We can blot this off here. I don't usually like blotting, but it works for this technique. So we'll spray and let those branchy things go into it. So come on, branchy things. We're enticing the branchy things. They're not doing very good. They didn't have their vitamin C this morning. Okay, let's see. Just tip it a little bit. Okay, we're going to blot that one before it gets to be huge. But you see now that this is pretty light when it's drying. So it does look distant like. I'm not sure I don't think I got the cool side of this tree. So I'm going to put some blue into this side of that tree there. So I'm thinking about a rounded tree when I do that. All right, so it doesn't really seem to mesh with the other side so well. So maybe I'll just scumble in. This is scumbling when you try to put the side of your brush and twist it different ways. So you're just trying to make this, even no matter what happens, you're trying to make it go together. Well, I'm coming back and I'm looking at what I did here. I like parts of it, not overly impressed with it all. And so I did want to have some, I don't want the pure white sky here. So I'm going to use that to color my sky right now. So I have this big house brush. I have clean water. And I'm going to just soften some of this that I don't like. Put some water on there. Oh, that's a good color. Might put a touch of red into the sky too, just a little bit. So that's very backgroundish now. I think it's okay. We'll leave it and see what happens. You can't get all excited about if it's not exactly what you meant. It never will be exactly what you meant. But now look here, I have this puddle here on my board. I'm going to wipe that off. That seems to be a real problem for people when you leave that there. So now I have to work on my foreground. This is the part I haven't really, I like the value sketch. I'm going to try to stick with it and stick with these colors. If you look at it, it's almost the same value as this horse here to start with. So this one is the tricky one because you got to go around this white head and the side. Now, one thing nice about if you're doing a big wash around something like this and you have it kind of meet here, um, it takes a lot of time and this starts drying. And then if you come around here and you do this, then these will push together and then create a big background in the middle. So you have to keep your eye, you kind of look for a place you could stop. Now here in this foreground, I have a lot of this rough stuff. So that's a good place for me to stop and then work on the foreground wash again. So I'm going to do it that way. And see, I'm kind of mapping out what I'm doing beforehand. So that helps me a lot. So I'm going to look at these colors up here and I'm going to use my same colors and see what happens. As I said, it's kind of the desert winter here. But we're just trying to make this dark and light horse pop out into it and have those neat values basically is really all my goal is. So I have more of my colors here. I definitely need this cool color in case it gets too warm. But now I want you to think about the ground. If you look at this square, in the square, the light is hitting the top of it or it's hitting the top of the table. When the light hits the top of something, it is lighter than the trees. These trees might have to get darker. But you can see that we need to know that this ground isn't that dark because the light is hitting this flat plane. So don't get too crazy unless you don't care about reality. That's part can be a choice. I'm not saying that's bad. Okay, so we can go into the same kind of value almost with this horse as long as we leave these whites around. And we can start by going around the tough spot first. So we can go right up to him and he has that white edge. So we're going to go right up to him and leave the white edge of his whatever his mane. There's all kinds of things in this backdrop. We can put some of them in, but they're not going to hold up. But we can put them in there. Now we have to really be careful here. So I see kind of a neat path right here of dirt. I'm gonna put that shape in there for me. That's too dark, way too colorful. I gotta watch this mane. It's going wacko on me. So I'm gonna go back and go around this horse. See, because he's dry there, I can go right over my post. I can leave some lines And this seems to come back in here. I'm going to do this on this side because that way the color continues like it goes through something, like it's behind the horse instead of a different entity here. Now, here's a white edge of this horse's mouth, and you just, when I first started painting, I used to put a W there. So I'd forget, get in this big wash, and then it's like, what did I do? Um, yeah, that works. After a while, you kind of get so you can see it. I think you're so scared when you're starting that you don't always see all those things happening, or you're not quite thinking about the whole picture. So we can go back and repeat these colors again. That's always a very solid way to keep your color. If you have a limited palette like this isn't that limited, it's limited by a few colors, but when you use them again, then they're related. So that's kind of nice. Here I see some dry, brushy stuff. Now that in the ground, we can drag our brush. We gotta be careful here. Oh, didn't dry his foot in. Isn't that funny? Or I did, but I just about painted it out. I'm going to use some more of this pink. And see, this stuff is just helping me by using these colors over. It helps me keep it together or keep my colors related. I keep saying that. We want related colors is the reason. You don't want to look like you painted this side in the sun and then went over here and it was midnight or something. This horse doesn't look like its name is Midnight, does it? Now see, these poles are dark and they're going to be fun. I like painting lines. So, okay, I'm going right around this horse. Now here, this is, he's got light on his edge, but it's in the shadow. So I can go right up to the shadow. Now I need to think about what I have over here again. So I'm going back to some weird waving between the bushes. Here, we have his tail here. I don't know if I'm going to get the bottom of the tail in this yellow. Maybe too much. But we need to look like it goes around. Now, like I said, I have totally different color on this side. So we're going to have to get back into some of this muck stuff. I'm going to go right around the tail. That's just going to be light. And then we're going to go between these legs. So we need to really be careful here because of the whites. So right up here, that's pretty yellow. I like this, these colors are so vibrant in the QOR. Just totally, I won them at the Red River Watercolor Society National Show. A few of these colors, and then I got some more. They have what's called aquatint, which I don't really understand, but it's different. It's their binder versus the gum arabic that we have like in the Winsor Newton paints, which I love also. Um, but okay, so this is really, really important. Now I'm going to just go down here along this edge. Try to think about that. He didn't want a knob-kneed horse. And then we need some of this blue stuff. So, comes up. It's getting bluer, you see, as I go across here. So, I'll put some of that in. Come on. And it's going across. This is, the tail's getting all dark. And then here again, this is very critical. So I slow way down to get this white. But you see, the paper's dry here. So the paint stays where you put it, or stays in this puddle area. And then you're sculpting around. You can always come back in here and put more detail later. So right now we're trying to get an overall value change across here. How am I doing for time? Okay, good. So you left, see how I left the whites? Oh, because this is touching this, if I try to reach over this, I can smear this all to pieces. So I'm going to blow dry this. I pick up these puddles. Okay, I got some more spots on my paper. I think this is really beautiful, but you see, I didn't mix one color here and bring it over here. It mixed itself, and I kind of base it on shapes. So it's a changing color. We have the light value kind of overall. We can still go back in and put scrubs. We can lift out some areas, different things we can do. But now we can do this foreground and not worry about. So we're kind of getting the overall painting done, surface done. So I'm going to just do that. It seems to get lighter here, like there's a cliff type thing here. So I'm going to just put, it's all dirt, so it's kind of, maybe I'll just try changing this color a little bit. And it's going in perspective with the fence, so we want this side to be a little bigger because it's coming forward. That's going to be a funny deal. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be really cool. We try not to get worked up about anything. It's really easy to get worked up, and it's just destructive. Okay, so we can go right around our legs right now, just to make it easy for us. loop. Now, sometimes this scraggly surface of rocks is kind of attractive, even though it's just, you can try this dry brush. I'm not getting anything out of it. Might have to do it in another layer, but you see, by going and making this simple area here, I can get around this hard area. And I don't have to have Misket. I just have a terrible, I'm too klutzy for Misket. I don't know what I had. I had a class with Rose Eden, who was my high school teacher, who was a famous artist. I love Rose. Anyhow, she had this class for a watercolor. So I took her, like, so many years ago, and they were doing Misket. And I asked my daughter to pick up the Misket, and we put it on, and it wouldn't come off. And then I looked at my bottle, and it was called Permanent Misket. And I was like, who the who the heck would want this to stay on here forever? I can't imagine. And then I read the directions, said you could color it. And I'm like, ugh, like color this stuff? Why would you want to do it? And so I had this horrible thing. So then I had to go. Some friend lent me, and I getting behind because I wanted to look good in my teacher's class, and I was just doing nothing. I had to start over, and then I was in a hurry, so I blow dried the Misket. And what? When you blow dry it, it doesn't come off. And so I was like, oh no. So I ended up doing these little bitty laundry basket pictures. It was awful what I did. I mean, I had some really neat things happen on the first one. Now here I'm just splattering some texture into the rocks, some stuff. Just don't need a lot, just to give it kind of something. See there, I let the colors make and the values make my background. Now I missed that. If I go back in there, I don't think that's a good idea. It'll do what this is doing, but I have enough of that. That's probably going to get away with that. But I don't know about pure white in here or not. So here I'm going to go around my board again because you see these are the danger zones. I remember in college we went to lunch and came back, and I had this big puddle here. I came back and made two great big moons on my paintings, and that's from having a puddle right here on the edge. So if you pick that up, or you go under here and make sure you don't have any on your tape, it will save you lots of problems. So that's pretty color. It's just a light value. It continues through the whole painting, so it's connected. And I don't know. We'll see. We could put shadow on it later and all kinds of things. So we kind of have the surface working, and we're going to start going on our darks next. So I'm going to clean up my palette and let this dry. I think I'd like it to set up a little bit, and then if it's not dry enough, I will blow dry it. Now, we're going to do the darks. So we did a lot of the medium values here. We need some good darks in there, and we can get them pretty dark, so we don't want the paint to get thick. One of the things about this picture is that we want to connect the shapes to the background and to each other so that your eye flows through, and we can let the watercolor do a lot of that for us. It's really interesting because I've had a class this summer and I saw the guy painting up, and that worked really well. And I usually paint with gravity coming down. I've done it both ways on here with the horse. So I think I'm going to go with going down, but who knows? I might switch back and forth. So we have, you You could see that part of the strength of this value sketch is how these darks all get blended together. It simplifies. I don't really like his boot. And there's a boot in this thing coming around here, and it's a weird shape. And so that's something I would like to diminish because it's not attractive and I don't know what it is. So I would put as little detail into that as I could. And I'm going to just start on his left side. I think I might put some blue in for his glasses, but I'm going to get my same colors for the darks. And I have to have them in the dark mode, so it's pretty thick on here. Not a lot of water. That's a real nice dark there, that Hooker's green. This one is quite different from the one in Winsor Newton, but I like it. And I really like Hooker's green in Winsor Newton. But seems like I want to explore that color more. And that's something fun you can do for if you have a new color. Just do a painting using that primarily and see what happens. You can see that yellow is the lightest of my colors, so if I put that on thick, it gets opaque or dirty, and we want our color to look lively and see it reflects off the paper surface. The light bounces through. So when you put the paint on thick, it blocks that light getting through there. So you want to get, if you have dark pigments, you can get darker colors with less paint, and then it'll rebound more like that. So I'm just going to snoop at his glasses a little bit. I want to get that blue. Boy, I got stuff in my brush for sure. I'm going to clean out my brush, I guess. Okay. Your brush holds stuff. You can double load these flat brushes. Are amazing. So this one, I'm just going to put this dark shape in there just for now. And then I'm going to give him just a little more skin tone. So here, use that burnt sienna, and I'm going to the yellow. This is a weird picture because you can barely see this guy's face because I was so far away. I studied though portraiture, so that helps. So I know about how the light hits a shape, and I can paint that in and not get too detailed. And nobody wants to know who this guy is anyhow. So why get too fussy? This is about riding the horse in my mind. Okay, so I'm going to go right into him here. That's a little bit much, but don't want to be scared. And here, I can go right over this edge. And I'm working with those darks and lights. And here's a neat light shape. And see, if you just hit a dark, you get over the fear, because if you have fear of the dark, it's not good in painting, because you need good dark colors to pop things out. So I'm going to put a little yellow on his arm here, because that's the light coming around the light's coming from here, but it also is coming around from the back, so you get what's called a reflected light there. So here you can get this described. If that's too stark later, you can put colors in it. So and it's coming around. I need to be very careful when I sculpt this shape out around his hand. But I'm going to ignore that right now. Here I'm going into these browns here that I see. Not sure, that's still his jacket. So we're going to go back to the jacket color. And, well, I didn't paint in his jeans leg. Okay, well, I'm going to paint his jean. I can't paint the whole shadow on his jean yet. So I'm going to just try to round his leg out. So here is the top of his leg. And I'm going to try to give it some volume. So this is rounded. And again, I'm thinking about how the legs and things change in the space. And even though it's blue, I'm getting a lot of neat colors because I put colors that are near blue together. So if I want the light to be warmer, I use more of the green. I can go to the purple as it goes away. And this stuff, I can't tell what it is. I don't write bright enough to know what everything is. I just don't know everything, as I said. Okay, so, you know, it's really true that you need to know your subject. Okay, here is there's a lot of cords or ropes and different things here. And the inside of his leg has a neat shadow on it. So we can go around those. So it comes up. And through here. And here. Like this. So I'm letting the paint do a lot of work for me. See, it's mixing. His jacket looks really green. I don't like it that green. But if I go in there and change that right now, it'll turn into a total disaster. So I have to let that dry and say, too bad, it's too green. So you know you use too much green. Gotta be careful because I don't want to wreck his pants. So here, we'll touch into it. This is like a blanket. They're really fun to paint. But see how I have this beautiful knot white here. Not bright white from painting through that earlier. It's got some kind of beading or something. Put a bright one up here. Okay, that looks neat. And I'm going to stay out of that right there because that's drying and setting up. So here I can go on the other side. I can do some of the parts of his shirt. So here is that dark curve. And it comes into here. And it gets more blue. And See those? And there's not much blue. But it leaves a space here all the way to his hand. Okay, so we're getting there. We got to go around. Now, this doesn't look like much of a face, does it? It takes a while to build things up, and if we get worried about that, we try to monkey in it and we mess it up. So then it gets really bad. So you just got, all I got was some big shadows on his face, and that's okay. I can still come back in and do that. And I know that. And that's part of my, um, what do you say, confidence in painting is that I know I can come back in there. And maybe I should worry what you guys think. But when I'm in my studio, I sure don't worry what you think. And then I come back and fix it. But I need to do that to get that color in there. I need to get that color in early. So that's one of the ways you do that. Okay, now one of my favorite things about this horse is in my black and white, he pops white here, and it's like a checkerboard. So I'm going to do some of his dark, the dark of the horse right now. And sometimes I might go take a nap and drink some coffee and have lunch before I do that. So, all right. So here, we're going to keep going though. I'm going to get some more of these colors that I can make beautiful browns with. This is particularly great with the manganese to make these dark browns. So I really think this is a neat trick, these colors. So here I am. I'm going to paint this ear. I don't like to say that. I like to say this dark shape. And I'm going to go into that light. Now this would have been fun to do really big too. You can always do it bigger. So I'm looking at this shape and it gets into the shadow. I think I want that. I see like pure blue on the edge, so I think I'm going to do that for the heck of it because it's fun. Because I'm an artist and I can decide anything I want to do. Maybe it'll look like crap or not. It's your choice. So then, and also part of my confidence is that I know I can fix stuff. Um, so I know I did lots of commissions. I remember I did one of the first ones I did the Blue Cross Blue Shield building and it had all these windows and straight lines in perspective and I used masking tape and I learned all about masking tape and I learned how to take stuff off and it was amazing what you can do there. So don't be afraid to do something too hard. Maybe you don't want to do it as a commission, but it's neat. But see here, I can watch for these rounded shapes and see my white is all colored and shadowed there. So that's really pretty. I can see, I don't know exactly how this goes on him, this deal here, but it's all in shadow, so I can paint that together. And it seems like it gets lighter. That's the reflected light of the ground is bouncing up on his chin here. And then it gets grayer around here. And that's quite a shape, isn't it? I don't get the ear quite. Let's see if I can get it. So stop there. Now over here, he's got a darker ear. And remember, it seemed like I was painting his ear too dark with that yellow, but now it'll show up. But it is still a lighter ear in the light. So put that in there. Very important how those shapes join together. That's where you want to look at those transitions. Seems to come all the way down. It doesn't seem right. Now, I've checked this drawing a lot, but you know, if you get kind of unsure about your drawing, that'll get you. Right there is kind of where I'm at on that one. Here is eye. We know it's an eye, but we can't see the whole eye. So we got to just paint what we see. Don't, somebody said you got to know, paint what you know. But really, a lot of times we know too much. When you see kids, when they're drawing, and they start knowing everything about a face, and they put all the eyelashes and the eyelids and everything in there, and it doesn't work. Then they get frustrated. But we don't need everything. My teacher Rosie told me she has really bad eyesight. She has the thickest glasses you ever did see, and she said it helps because you can't put all that stuff in. Yeah. So I'm getting up to her speed. I'm getting more and more glasses on. No. But okay, so I can go into here, but I want to keep in mind this checkerboard thing I think is so cool. So I'm going to put that in and think. Now this side of the horse is in shadow. I got to go around his deal there. Rain, I guess you call it. And this one really doesn't, I think I'll go out of it. Okay, so here, I'm going to go right into this blue deal right through there. Okay, then I go back to this. It seems like it goes through it on the bottom one. So I'm looking at my value sketch here. That's what I like about this picture very much. But See, this isn't a commission, so they can't get mad at me if I put this patch on the horse right here. That's not my horse. But when you're doing your own painting for the heck of it, you can do anything you want. But okay, it's warmer here, and this is a muscle. So you have to think about muscles all the time, how they change when you're painting animals. I don't know what. I think this is up higher in my sketch. So I'm gonna go with that. Because I said, I like that really a lot about this picture. So, if I wreck it, it's not the end of the world, but why do it? Somehow, this is funny. See, this is more in the sun over here, so I'm getting more yellow in the horse. Now, I didn't ignore that splatter because I don't care. I do care. However, if I've learned there's certain things that you don't do when paint's just setting up. So for me to go in there and really try to fix what I did there, that would be bad. That paint would react, and we have backgrounds and all kinds of things. So I had really no choice at this point in time. But it's amazing what you can do later when it's dry. You can fix all kinds of stuff, unless you go in there and you muck it up now. So I just want to say that. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and get some of this side of this. This is a weird deal. It looks like a square, but it has a light edge. I don't know. So if I don't know what something is, I try to break it down into shapes. So this one over here is really neat. I can go in to his and connect his pants to the side of the horse now with the shadow on the jeans. So I'm going to get some more jean color out here, which is that manganese. And I'm going to go in here and layer. I think these shadows are very exciting in this picture. And I have them drawn in, though they're hard to see now. That's getting pretty thick right there. Right, just a little bit thick of paint. It seems to get more purple toward the bottom, which is great because now I'm going to connect into this horse here. Now this is connecting the subject to the background. Right now the guy, his background is partly this horse. So here, the light's coming around on his leg here. So I'm going to put a little of that leg there. I put a little leg there. Okay. I gotta laugh at what things sound like. I go to my trainer and she puts together some weird descriptions sometimes that are fascinating for working out. We have to check check chuckle about them. Okay, where does this end? I didn't draw that in very good, but I think it's down here. But now, see, we got this leg connected. See, connections are very powerful because people they can travel along them with their eye, so you're leading them around the painting with it. Okay, now see, this is a wet area. It's setting up, and we don't want to splat on it again. But we don't want to touch that now, so we're going to leave that alone. We can go up here where it's safe because it's dry. I have to make sure that I don't drag my arm through this paint. So maybe I will dry this. I think I will, because I might do that. Now you can see it's kind of neat about the watercolor here. It kind of looks like fur, and that's just by not going back in there and stirring in the paint. I can always lift out something later if I want, but that paint moving around is it's not being monkeyed in. And people will say, how did you get that texture to that paint? That's how. You just paint it on there and you leave it alone. So here we are. Got a lot of dark paint on my palette. So I'm going to clean off my palette because it just will go, the more this mixes together on here, the more it gets muddy. So, and like I said, I do like some good mud, but this is all kind of dangerous, to say the least. So, so now we're getting into more and more detail of stuff. So I'm going to start up here again, and that's typically how I work. I work top to bottom. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm not totally excited about how this looks. I got some chunks of stuff up here, and I'm going to modify it somewhat. So let me get a little of this green out. See, if you have that pure pigment, the more you mix colors, the muddier they get. Like if you get four colors together. But you can control it again by having, it's a little element of control. So you can't control watercolor, but you can control having pure color on your palette. A lot of times we get so we don't want to waste that money, and we waste our whole picture because we didn't want to clean up our palette, and so it's really important to do that. Now I'm going to have a good paper towel so I don't drop on anybody, and I'm going to try to look at these trees, and these trees are spheres with the light coming from the, so this is a ball shape, and it doesn't appear that way, but I'm going to try to get a little more contrast around his head in the process. So let's just try to see what happens here. So here, I'm just looking carefully. I have that wriggly stuff there already. It really is important how it looks around his hat. But this is totally dry here, so I can do that. But I don't want it to look like I outlined his hat, so I have to change the color going around that. So we're just trying to make it look better. That's the goal. But we can think about logically about the sphere and the shape in light. And then you're changing your color, like the color wheel. So blue is, this isn't, but we're using those same colors again. So the light is on the side of the sphere, and we're working with that idea. Down we go. So I see this nice dark shape here over in the picture, and I'm just putting it back in. So this is getting a little more colorful. Now when you're painting like this, you can stop and get away from it, so you don't have to keep making decisions that you're not sure about. Unless you're on camera. This is that dry brush. Great for that. Sounds like what I'm painting. Dry brush. Now I liked, there's something about this right here. I like that this came back. This is in the foreground here. So still looks like a big mess. But I will figure that out later. I might have to do that after I turn the tape off. Okay, so here's a neat shadow shape going across. And here is some more bushy stuff. It seems very calming after working on the horse because it's not as tough. It's just a rounded shape, but really it's more forgiving is what it is than a horse shape is. Like that, that's neat. Okay. We gotta go to the guy's face a little bit. His hands. This might take a lot of time. These are the details. This is fun stuff, though, you know. So let's just look at that. You have to enjoy and slow down. Now let's see if I can get this guy. I need to pull this a little closer. I still don't like my trees. Okay, but whatever, we'll get it. Now he's got a shadow under here, and he's got chin right there. Okay, starting to look better, but we can't do everything there, so we're gonna go away from there. I'm gonna go back to his jacket over here. This shape curves out. Just try to look at the shape. Mhm. Now, he's got this stripe here. I don't know. I think it's interesting, or I wouldn't bother with it. But it breaks up this pattern here. And I'm sure it was important to his wife. Now, so I'm going to go there. I don't know. My husband doesn't let me dress him. He's got his thing, and that's it. And once in a great while, he'll listen. But I haven't figured that out. But when you pack, that's the trick. You pack whatever make him wear. He packs himself, though. I like that, getting out of there packing his stuff. No, so I guess it's worth it. I said I got that too green before, so I can go in here now and put some blue shadows on top of his jacket and get those bluer, supposedly. I might need some red to do that. But it's neat to have the green in there with the blue. So you're letting those layers, see how they're coming together. You can show that color that you put in there. And it looks like you changed all these colors all of a sudden, but you just left some of them to show. Why is it doing this? Okay, so and you just kind of follow the blueprint of the drawing. See, some of these shapes, when you're drawing them out, they're confusing because they don't look right when you draw them. Or they look weird, and people get scared off and change stuff into kind of symbolic things. And sometimes those weird shapes are really the best part of the painting. So, because you saw them, and then you're making people see them for the first time, and they would say, let your people want to see your vision, not their vision. So, come on, Manganese. Yeah, that looks a lot better. I probably won't get him done today, but I'm getting somewhere. Okay, now we can look at, here's something like a rope, I guess. Which one is it? This is very weird in here. There's several lines. So you're doing these repetitive things, these lines. Um, you need to have a little fun. So you can play with the color. It's not too perfect. There's a knot in it. Okay. Now we can do some more detail on his legs for a while. So we gotta get something to think about each leg. So we're coming out of here. Here is kind of the darkest part of the cylinder that his leg is. Then it twists over here. And goes across. See, it's still getting darker, even though it's a white leg. It's pretty dark. That looks good. I like that. You can tell yourself that once in a while. It's really a good thing to hear that you think you're good. But um, anyhow, uh, okay, this one doesn't, this one gets pink too. Pink, and it gets that turquoisey look on this muscle. But there's another back muscle here. And they come together. Maybe you have to have some yellow in there. And okay, so we got this big body here. Well, he's pretty smooth, this horse, so don't want too much. I don't know, he's got something. Maybe he's got hair here. Uh-oh. I just saw that. But we want to go get the body in there. Want to get the body. That's a good idea to have the body on this horse. Never know what happens if his body disappears. It's called the mystery of the missing horse body. No, this is kind of nice. Okay, then got into the dark here. These horses are so strong. I had this picture. I went to this one place and I was taking pictures of horses and cattle. They had this amazing place. They had like every purebred cow and every purebred horse together in one pasture. And it's like, well, what is the plan here? And anyhow, the horses, they were these longhorns, and these longhorn horses. I mean, not longhorn horses. I better stop and tell the story. The longhorns would go up, and the horses would block the food, and I thought they would just go like that with their head and make them get out of the way, but no, those horses are strong. And I guess what they said, they told me was they try to train them to listen to the horses when they're young, and these were young longhorns, because then they're intimidated by them, and then they behave better, so they mix them together. So I thought that was interesting, but they must learn at some point those horns can do them some good. See that dark there? You just watching that. This one is weird. See, it comes down blue. And this is the scraggly stuff of your, you can use this scraggly stuff. And more yellow. And blue. And here you can do some of this over the dark too. See how to do that. It's getting pretty dirty. We're gonna be watching. Can overdo that mud thing, but I think it's you gotta now we gotta work the background up some more. The guy is smiling on the face. I don't know about his face. I'll have to work on it. He has a really, really weird expression right now. So we'll do that when I'm not on tape. But I have to slow way down to get it. So all right, so we have his tail. We can put his tail in before we forget. That would be good. I remember this one painting of a horse, and I thought the horse was so cool in the picture. And he was against a dark background, and his ear blended in with the background. And I painted it, I must have been in my total right brain, but I left the ear off the horse. Then I got it in a frame, and I saw, oh, why? I was thinking, why doesn't he look as cool as I thought he did? Because he's missing an ear. But so it's good to get back and look at these. Okay, and then we could do his mane a little. Think about hair. Don't like it. Take it off. Okay, I didn't like that. So I'm going to leave that alone and come back to that. His hands are really important. I haven't dealt with them. You gotta give the warmth to those hands. Even though he's got some glue. This one, not much there to see. And here, we could just play with color in here. We could just some of these whites. I should slow way down here, but okay. Now let's just see how I'm going back and forth on my detail. Um, I I go back and forth, so I'm not finishing something completely. You need to balance it all out. Maybe you should put that column thing or that building back there. It looks neat. But no, it's not very Western looking. So let's look at some of these poles and stuff. You can work with these colors and put them in there. And you just change the color. And you can't make a straight line. I always get a kick out of that. People tell me they can't paint because they can't paint a straight line nice. I can't either. But so even this is a rounded pole, we want it to be interesting. Not too interesting. It's not as interesting as the horse, we hope. So, but we can change it. Here it looks greener. Looks like it's brown in the bottom. That's the reflected light of the rust. Some stuff, if you have to paint it in to make it make sense, I don't know. I think I needed this grid to connect the background to the horse. So I chose to put this in. And I keep changing the color. But it looks very stark there right now. It's okay because you got to work it in. So here we'll go and finish on the other side. I use a ruler. Make sure that it came out on the other end. It's kind of wiggly. I don't know. I think it's consistently wiggly. So that makes it one thing. You could say, what was wrong with this guy when he made these poles? Notice that it's careful where you put the pole. Oh. Actually, this is kind of a neat connection here. Somehow, we could get that to work better. I didn't put that in the horse. Just a sec. That was a sidetrack. And it goes underneath. Oops, that's higher. Might have done that off a little bit. Doesn't go under his leg though. Okay, so then we can do some of this. You can use some of this slime. That's a great slime adventure. I thought these patterns were neat because of the checkerboard and the horse. So I worked on creating these patterns. Doesn't look very, where did my picture go? It seems like it's in the wrong place. What did I do? I guess I did. I put it in the wrong place. Look at that. You can take it off. I like where it was, so I'm going to do that. Maybe it won't be quite the same, but I don't know. What am I looking at there? That's why I don't have my pole in the same place. So this is like a cliff. Maybe put some green in it. But not too exciting. Okay, there we go. I guess we'll just have some of this. Go across. Now here you can really pop the horse out, see? And I liked how I got this. Can sharpen up those bumps I have on my horse. Maybe I'll put some blue, almost out of blue. Except now. Here. We're going to try to fix what I did here. With contrast. So I just keep alternating these colors and I'm putting them next to each other and they're blending. Now I got his leg funny here, so I can get that straightened out there. And here I really gave him a knob. This horse would be not happy to have this knob. But they're nice colorful darks. I think his tail's longer too. So we'll go into the tail a little darker. And around it. Oh, getting too that green again. Change it up. There. Well, I think I've done quite a bit and I need to take a break, but I think I will just show you maybe just this grassy layer in here and then we'll be done. So we'll try to put this value back into behind the horse. Values are really more important than anything for us painters, right? Because they create shapes. And you can see how you can paint around and leave little rocks, highlights. And you suddenly have getting too brown. Kind of like that line there. So you just kind of have to tune in on this stuff where it's happening or not happening. But you can see that by adding, we're connecting to the background and getting something kind of cool now that I didn't know what it would look like, which is exciting. Try to hold back now. Don't need it to be too much. Probably like my trees are too much. I'll have to simplify them. And of course, you gotta go on the other side. Oops, what is that? You can punch this up to pop that white. I don't know why I can't get that. Okay, so here we have this bush. It's starting. It's got some grass in front of it. Not too much. This is a quiet background. Like that yellow edge there. You'd have to do something to the foreground. I'm gonna dab that off because I feel like it this time. This is touchy. I might want to carry some of this green. This is a big important shape here that I didn't deal with. But you can put in the shadow from the horse. He's just touching here. It's one of those weird times of day, but you want to change the color. I didn't get his tail yet. I'll work on his tail later, but I can take that out and fix it. You can see that these rough textures really add a lot without doing too much. And let's just take a bigger brush in the foreground. Maybe more yellow. And then you can stop. How's that sound? Okay, well, I'll stop there. You can come back and do more detail to get something like this just a little bit, but it's a good time to get away from it in case you don't need to do more and you don't know it, or you just need a fresh look at it. Here's my finished painting. As you can see, I put a little more effort into it. On the face, I started over actually to give that more time, which would have been ideal if I had given it that much time at the beginning and then worked into what I did for you. Anyhow, thank you for watching my video today. I hope it helped you learn more about painting around your whites and connecting your subject to the background. These are both very useful skills. At Givinity.com, I have other videos shown that you can sign up for and watch right on my website. You just log in and log out, and you never have to look for that video again. And then you have free renewals. In case I update a video, you would get the new updated video at no charge, so there's no reason to wait. I hope you have fun painting. Thank you.